Welcome, guys, to another episode of Consciously Curious, where we deep dive with those that are thriving in their passion. On tonight's episode, we're at Wishbone with Tyler Nickson, aka Chefy Dahmer.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
Who these days you can find him curating private dinners with and without THC and CBD.
Exactly. Yeah, definitely.
Okay, so thanks for coming
Yeah,
through.
no, thank you for having me, man. I love the podcast. So
Thank you.
Anything local like this in Chicago is I'm all for it, man.
Yeah. In addition, you can also find him hosting the Fried Hard series, which I admire.
Awesome.
Completely.
I'm glad you like it, man. Yeah, I've gotten a lot of great feedback ever since we started doing that.
Well deserved. Yeah,
which is good because I really enjoy doing it. And
you and the team.
Yeah. me and Dogfood Media. Big shout out to him. He's incredible. So
okay, so can you please take me back to? I feel like this was a family thing, right? Wishbone, right?
Oh,
so
yeah,
you grew up in this.
Yeah,
in
I
this
was crawling on the floors for sure. Yeah, it was. The Wishbone's been around longer than I've been alive.
Okay.
So yeah, that's definitely been the case, 100%. Yeah, so I was always obviously very drawn to the restaurant world.
Yeah.
You know, it's always been it's the only thing I ever really saw around. My dad working in the restaurant every day. And,
yeah.
he was able to provide a great life for his family off of a restaurant. So even realizing that as a young child, I probably focused more on thinking about Wishbone than I did my studies. You know what I'm saying?
Interesting.
So I spent my younger years working here.
And he didn't try forcing anything on you?
No, I give him crap. He always apologizes to me too. He's like, I'm sorry, like in a joking way.
Right.
That now I'm like full force running at this industry essentially. But he never forced it on me, but I was always just very drawn to it. I think it was, every time I ever got like suspended from school or like got in trouble at school, I would always like have to work at Wishbone, and it never really felt like a punishment. So I guess like really young, like that kind of clicked with me. I was like, I don't mind really shredding brisket in the back.
That's badass.
Rather than, being in school today. So it was, I had that kind of realization kind of young.
And what was it, or if it was a couple things that drew you to this industry, and aside from, family being a part of it, what part of the job like appealed to you?
I guess I kind of just did it like naturally for so long until I was like old enough to like see past like what I was currently doing and like how it could transform into something else. It turned in from like me like literally just having to work here when I was in trouble to like me staging at like serious restaurants down the street at a young age. But I don't think I ever like was really drawn to like the line cook lifestyle or whatever until like I read Anthony Bourdain's Kitchen Confidential, which was like that was pretty big for me when I read that, and I was like, I don't know, I was probably like 17 or when I read that book, and just like the way he described line cooks and like just his experience like first being a line cook and how it was just like pretty interesting characters like throwing pans and like big calloused hands and like just going out every night and like coming back to work the next I was very drawn to like this kind of like more I guess party lifestyle of like being a line cook that you still see like in a lot of places. It's a little more dead, but I guess I was drawn to like probably an element of the line cook culture that isn't probably the best element of the line cook culture. But so that's what drew it to me, honestly, was Kitchen Confidential and working at Wishbone. And
was there any formal training, or was it just working?
No, I mean, I never went to school for it or anything, but like I learned everything basic here. I learned how to make like soups and stocks and stuff, here at Wishbone, and then I went to more French restaurants. I was at 16, which is like a 2 Michelin star, like French Brigade style kind of system. Italian restaurants, Cote de Volpe up on Southport, the Duck Inn in Bridgeport.
I saw that.
That place. I had mad love for the Duck Inn. It's a great restaurant.
Dope. What's the appeal of staging for a Michelin star restaurant? And do you go in with an expectation of when you're about to leave, or what's the mindset going into those places?
I guess I'd say a majority of the people going into those stages are probably trying to find a job at that place, like at the end of it, hoping that they get hired, But yeah, I don't know, the staging thing. Sorry, hold on. I'm thinking about that. Can you say it one more time this time?
Yeah, what was the mindset that people usually go with into a Michelin star restaurant?
It's just to learn, I guess,
Just to
essentially.
learn,
Yeah, I
okay.
guess, yeah, because you're a line cook at one restaurant, man. It's the same thing every day. It's very tedious. It's like, that's the one thing I never liked about kitchens is that it's a lot like school. It's like you got to show up at the same time every day in the
Yeah.
same place,
Right.
mess with the same stuff with the same people, and
Right.
so that's kind of hard, if you're not kind of built to work like that. Um, so it's good to like go out and get a stage at another restaurant, see how another environment is. It's a good way for like cooks to find another job, if they're in a situation that maybe is like not making them happy at their current job.
Yeah.
So sometimes I guess it could be looked at as like
A stepping stone.
or like a reaching your hand out kind of thing. To
Sure.
like, maybe this might work or.
And so before you were about to do that, did you feel unfulfilled or unchallenged when you were trying to make that jump?
Never felt unchallenged. I always tried to like work at places that like challenged me for sure. But there's always an element. It's like once you've done 6 months, like you learn a lot
Yeah.
in that 6 months at that place, and it's like come to a situation where you're like, well, I could go learn something somewhere else, and that's a problem now. Like I like to be, it's ideal to be like loyal to these restaurants when you're a
Right,
line
right.
cook, and it's like really, that's like a big problem in Chicago is that a lot of line cooks will just like come work for 6 months and then they'll leave, and like you're just like this burn and turn of staff all the time, like just hiring and firing or like
Yeah.
losing
Or
cooks.
just leaving. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like it's a huge thing in Chicago now. So it's hard, like I know a lot of like more old school guys will be like, oh well, these cooks nowadays they don't stick around, you know what I'm saying? But it's like it's up to a lot of these older guys out here to like create better cultures in their kitchens for these younger guys to stick around.
Do you feel like 6 months is enough, or do you feel like people?
No, I would definitely wouldn't say like 6 months is enough time to spend in the kitchen to like really
Okay.
absorb everything from that kitchen. But it's like it's up to like what your mission is at that restaurant. Like, are you here to be a sous chef here? Or do you want to be like the chef de cuisine like in 2 years? Like like it's about building your placement in that kitchen. And it's like I don't know. It's weird. It's the same like if you were working anywhere. It's like you don't want to like invest all of your time and like opportunity and your hours
because you're usually not being paid, right?
into a company, that like for a stage. No,
Right? Okay.
no, you're not. And some of these stages are like 3 days. It's like a 3-day stage for free. It's like free labor.
Oh my.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy. I mean, then again, it's like there's no sympathy to it because it's like you're signing up for it, But it's
Right,
like,
right.
yeah, no, I'm all for staging. I think staging's great.
And is that something that you would kind of name drop as you go to the next place? Like, hey, I stage for such and such, or at
I
such
guess
and
I
such
think
place?
it's kind of like a amateur thing to do, or like to
Right?
like, or like it's just kind of I don't know. I don't think if you like, yeah, nobody really cares. You know what I'm saying? Like it's more for like your internal thing. Like no one really cares if you spent like a day at Alinea. To be honest with you, like it doesn't really
Okay.
make you look any better or any less,
Okay.
except for the fact that that you're taking time to like hone your craft. I guess
Yeah.
which is. I think all line cooks should definitely stage. Like,
Yeah.
if you're a line cook in a restaurant, you got a day off or another day off.
Oh, dope. Yeah.
Go check out another joint.
Now, how easy, if someone were to try to, is it as easy as like emailing them or sliding in their DMs? Like,
Yeah,
how
it's that easy.
It's-
100%. Oh yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I would say it's much. Yeah, I don't know many chefs that would turn away like
Free
a
help.
guy that'll peel carrots for
They-
half.
but
You know
like,
what I'm saying?
do they,
Like,
is there any
you're
like?
not going to be doing great work.
Okay.
It's not like you're going to be.
But I'm sure someone can fuck up peeling on. It's
right,
like-
of course. Oh yeah, 100%. Yeah, you get some funky stages for sure. But yeah, no, it's yeah, no, yeah, it's I don't know. It's staging's weird. It's a weird culture behind that whole thing.
And with the prices of some of these Michelin star places, does it line up? Does it all match? Like, is it worth that much in your eyes? Like, I have never been to.
Yeah, I mean, I would say it's worth it. It's hard because it's like it's not very an attainable thing. I don't, not a lot of line cooks are able to go eat at Alinea or Smith. You know what I'm saying? So
Right.
it's like that's definitely hard. And I know a lot of line cooks out here spend a lot of their money like eating out and like trying to go experience different dining experiences like all around the city. But
Don't you? I mean, by being an insider, don't you have an inside look at all that? Like,
Yeah, no, 100%. I think it's worth it, 100%. When you look into like the labor and the amount of time and the amount of people that are spending like 70, 60 plus hours a week like creating these dishes, I think that sometimes it is a little absurd, the price and the whole experience of it. Especially me, I come from Wishbone. Like I'm not like I'm
This is
not
bomb food
necessarily
here, yeah.
I'm not really necessarily into like tweezers and 12-course dinners with like carrot foam and like and all
Right.
that. I like doing that. That's obviously where there's like a lot of money and like doing private dinners, and a lot of people want that like inside of their home.
Yeah.
But not a lot of those restaurants last that are doing expensive ticketed sales coursed out dinners. They just don't last in Chicago. Not that I've seen. A lot of them close. It's hard. It's not very easy.
And so, how many years did you spend as a formal cook or chef?
5.5 years. I
Okay.
spent like just being a line cook, like at different restaurants.
Yeah.
And yeah, I wanted to I spent 5.5 years probably about cooking at those different restaurants.
What were some of the favorite times that you had?
Probably like really like my first job at the Duck Inn in Chicago. That was like the best possible experience I could have ever had, being like a young cook, I'd say, because it was just like such a small, tight knit kitchen. It was like very, very small kitchen, and so I got to learn how to work like with very minimal like space and like movement,
Right.
Which
Right.
made me a better line cook. And then just like the crew that I was with, it was like an opening crew, so it was just like just like a lot of camaraderie in that kitchen. And it was
Is that a
just-
place where someone would stage at?
Yeah, we got stages all the time.
Okay.
Yeah,
It just felt like, well, when you just described it, it's like tight knit and less turnover. right?
Yeah, and it's like, people are always trying to stage at the places that are like hot, you know what I'm saying? So like obviously that first year of the Duck Inn, like we were, in like GQ Restaurant of the Year, and like, we got lots of accolades at that restaurant the first year. So it was a lot of people wanted to come stage. for
Okay.
sure, so it's
Then the other side of the coin, it's like, what was a turnoff?
I guess just seeing the compensation for the amount of work. I guess that's like my biggest thing. Like, and that's a hard thing to say too, because it's like, it's a restaurant. The margins are small. It's not like it's super easy to go and like pay all your line cooks $20 an hour and like
Okay.
provide like a living wage essentially.
Yeah.
But
And
I was broke. I guess I was just like I'd spend 50 plus hours a week working at a restaurant, and I was broke, just after rent and, everything that it took to, stay alive. I just didn't have much money. So
wow.
that was always a hard thing for.
And so,
being a cook.
what are cooks these days? What are they doing? Are they holding multiple jobs? Like, what do they do? Do they drive Uber? Like, what, just to make ends meet? What do you?
Yeah,
what's the average Joe doing, or Joe or Jill doing?
It's hard, dude. I mean, I'd say a lot of these cooks that I see, they're young and they've got maybe situations. I wouldn't say this for all cooks, but I've run into a lot of cooks who, the cooks have changed completely. Now it came from like a thing where like guys from like, would do this when they didn't have many options, or like, there wasn't like a thing that like people that were very affluent would come in
Right.
and decide to be a chef. You know what I'm saying? It was
Right.
like not something that was like, all right, well, that's what you're gonna, but so I guess now I'd say that there's like a little bit more like maybe money behind some of these younger line cooks, but that may be a biased perception of just like what I've seen.
Yeah.
Not to say that there aren't line cooks out there like struggling every week, just like
For
guys
sure.
that I know, but yeah, no, it's just it's not a very livable wage to being a line cook. It's hard. I did the pop-up dinners, and that ended up being a better source for me. Like the minute I started working for myself, my money kind of just started to be a little bit, my income started to grow, I guess, a little bit more. I had more money in my pocket once I started like really dive
Yeah,
into like building myself as like, whether it's like I do meal prep services every week.
Right.
I'm doing private dinners in people's houses, selling tickets through Instagram for like a seated dinner in an apartment,
Right.
anything like that.
So at what point did you feel like you were ready to branch out? Like, as far as level of mastery, and maybe you were fed up with what you were being paid? Like,
yeah. So, I mean, I got a job at 16, which was inside of the Trump Hotel years ago. And that was like that was like, if you get a hotel gig that's like also like a Michelin star restaurant, it pays great. You're getting paid like more than $20 an hour. It's like, it's great. It's like the best situation for a line cook, essentially.
Okay.
It's like getting like a high paying hotel gig.
awesome. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Okay.
So yeah, hotels always pay more.
Okay.
Like it's kind of frowned upon a lot of like independent restaurants. Like, oh, hotel guy, you know what I'm saying? So it's like
Right.
there's like that like thing.
Yeah.
But,
shout out Zeph. So he's a
he's a hotel.
group,
Yeah, but no, yeah, exactly. Shout out Zeph. But yeah, it's definitely a different world. But I was at a restaurant inside of a hotel. So
Yeah,
it was like it was a little bit different, but it still paid the same hotel rate.
Okay.
So but when that closed, I was like, fuck, what the heck am I gonna do?
Okay.
I was like, I'm either gonna go find like another small like fancy restaurant that like I'd appreciate learning in, or like some other restaurant that I'm not gonna learn that much in, but like will pay me a lot.
Yeah.
So it's like you really gotta like compromise on these different levels, and it's like all right, I'm either gonna like take a lot less money to like work at a really nice place, or I'm gonna like work at a pub and make like $18, $17 an hour, you know what I'm saying? And just like be the main guy there, so it's like you gotta like conflict with yourself, like what the heck is best for me,
right?
But I'm broke, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So it's like it forces you into these situations where it's like, yeah, this might not be the best thing for your career, but you're broke. So yeah, that's a weird element.
So you took the leap then. Like, what was you didn't do everything at once, right? So like, what did you prep first, or pop-ups first, private dinners first? What'd you go with?
The pop-up first. Started, we me and another line cook that was at 16 when 16 closed. We were like, let's buy a bunch of plates and wine glasses and just like pay a venue $500 and like let us do a seated dinner, and we'll sell the tickets through Talk.
Is Talk still around?
Talk is still around.
Okay.
Talk is booming now. Talk is like way bigger than it was when I was on it.
Now they take a cut though, I'm guessing. Right?
Yeah, they do take a cut. Back then, I think they took a percentage of every sale, but now I think that it's just a monthly cost. To be on Talk.
Okay, so it pays to hustle then. Pays to have more pop-ups then.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, no, I mean, it's just more fun too. It's like you get locked away in the kitchen, and then that was like my first time ever like cooking food, and then like people coming up to me after cooking food and being like, oh, hi, nice to meet you. You know what I'm saying? Like having that like interpersonal connection.
Right.
Yeah, rather than just like being screamed at by some guy in the back and then like, like never even knowing what's going on out in the front type of thing. But so yeah, that was like my first connection with that. And then I was like, oh, I just feel better.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I just feel better doing this. So yeah, it's harder, but it's, you feel better for sure.
Interesting. Are you still associated with that, the guy that started the?
No, he moved over to North Carolina. He was originally from North Carolina. So when he moved back home, we kind of sold everything off, and I kind of just started doing different things. I took like different industry jobs doing that, and then I would just I was actually working as like a server for a little bit there and doing ticketed dinners. So but yeah, I filled the gaps, and then I met a guy, Manny Mendoza, who runs Herbal Notes.
Yeah.
A mutual friend introduced us just because they knew that I was doing pop-ups, and then they knew I smoked a lot of weed, and they were like, okay, here's this guy, he's doing pop-ups that are like marijuana focused. And
wow. And what year was this?
Yeah, man, this was like a year ago, 2018.
Okay.
Yeah, this was like, early last year. Around this time last year.
Okay.
And so I DM'd him, and I was like, yo, man, like I really love your stuff. And it turns out we had talked like through our Instagram pages before, but like just not on our personal accounts.
Okay.
So yeah, then we like linked up. I like helped him out with a dinner at Emporium in Logan Square.
Dope. Okay. Was that the one with like you in the truck?
No, that was Lyrical Lemonade Summer Smash, which was really cool. That was also with Manny though. It was like it was. So yeah, then I started doing a lot with him, and he's a phenomenal chef and just like dude all around.
I had no idea he lived above La Luna. I lived down the block.
Yeah, he does live above La Luna. He probably doesn't want us talking about that. No,
it's all over YouTube.
I know. It is all over YouTube. I know he wasn't too happy about that either. But no, it's
sorry.
No, he's good. He's good. But yeah.
So let's focus on pop-ups right now. Which venues and how do you go about booking venues and things like that? How do you know which venues are open for business?
So that was a very interesting like learning curve for me too, because it was like, all right, well, I can cook, but like, can I really like pitch people to like let me use their space? You know, so that was like a big thing. I like found Peer Space, like and I like just started DMing or like messaging everybody on Peer Space that had like a place that I wanted, and just saying like, hey, like I'll give you 2 free tickets to a pop-up dinner, if you let me use your space, like rather than paying like this ridiculous hourly wage or whatever. Right. And you'd be surprised like the amount of people that are like into that, or like
experience.
That people are like, oh fuck it, whatever, I'll come on in. Me and my wife will have dinner. It's whatever. But so I did a couple that were like that. Some of those ended up costing some money, but then I knew a woman, Hillary, who lived above Wishbone in some of those units, which were beautiful units. And she was like, if you ever want to do one in my apartment, like
Wow.
you're more than welcome. And I was like, yeah, that'd be amazing. I like gave her 2 free tickets to do it in her house. And then the guy that she ended up bringing was this gentleman who owns Industrial Arts House in.
I saw a couple pictures of those.
Yeah,
Yeah.
man, this place is insanely beautiful. It's like an old candy
Is that
factory.
Bridgeport or Pilsen?
No, it's up in like Avondale, kind of
Oh,
like
never mind.
deep
Okay,
Logan
okay.
Square,
Oh,
kind
okay,
of out
okay.
west on Belmont.
Okay.
But beautiful space. Like
Yeah, I saw,
commercial
yeah.
kitchen. It was just like, and he was like, he loved the dinner. He was like, we had like this. We were serving this giant boar leg, and he was just like gnawing on this giant like boar leg. He was like, you guys should come do this at my house. And I was like, oh really? Like, what's your house look like? And he like showed me pictures, and I was like, oh yes, please, like, I would love to. And I ended up doing like them all there. I was like, and he's just like the greatest dude, and he just like let me do it every, he and his girlfriend would get to eat, and
it's still open to like people to buy tickets.
Right, yeah.
Okay,
It was
and
still at this point it was still
separate
open to
from
buy
private
tickets.
dinners.
Yeah, this was still
Okay.
open to buy tickets, or I was selling tickets. It was open to the public, which also is weird because it's like one big top table, so it's like you're taking
but
a
it's
bunch
communal.
of. It's super communal.
That's
it's
very
like,
cool.
and you could feel it too. It's like some dinners were a little bit more quiet than others, and it's like, so that was always an interesting element.
Now, I mean, are you striving for that communal vibe, or
not necessarily. I mean, that was just like what was.
you're not forcing it?
Yeah, that was just like what was easiest, and I felt like it would be weird to like if you're only serving 15 people to break them up into like little 2 tops or whatever.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
But
no.
you're kind of the glue of everything, right? So
Right.
if everyone was that close and you were having a conversation with this person right here, obviously someone next to him is gonna overhear.
Yeah.
But then like, because people are shy to talk to each other. But if
Right.
you're the glue, then everything kind of just organically happens
I
after
agree.
that.
Yeah, so it was cool.
So would you put a limit on the number of guests you can host? I guess, or
Yeah,
would it be to the space, or because you want that certain vibe? Like,
I would say I would definitely wanted that certain vibe. I wanted it to be
Right,
very like intimate and small, and I didn't want it to be like this overly stressful thing for me also, you know what I'm saying? So and it's hard to do that if you're working out of venues and you got to like, you're transporting like 3,000 different like, pieces of like equipment, just like from here to the restaurant to the venue, and
Right.
cleaning it there and bringing it back. Like you just don't want to make it too much for yourself. So I definitely tried to keep it at like 15 people, which is like, when you think about like an 8-course dinner, that's like 15 times 8, whatever the heck that is.
Wow.
That's like the amount of plates you got, and then
oh my.
silverware for every course, and cups and cooking material, the ingredients. And it's like you got boxes of stuff,
Yeah.
and you're like, okay, I got to get this all over there, So it's like I didn't want to do any more than 15 for sure.
And so how do you go about assembling a team to help you with this?
That's definitely. I'd say it was very easy actually. I never really had trouble finding people to help out. I guess I might have been lucky with that, but I feel like
this is you're paying them, but like this is like they're like
I was not. I mean, we weren't paying a lot of people in the pop-up.
Interesting.
So yeah, no, not necessarily.
Okay.
Not that we didn't want to. It's just the margins were not there, and like people just really actually wanted to like.
kind of staging in a
Yeah,
way.
people really wanted to just like genuinely help out. So
Oh.
that was definitely a big plus. Is we had a lot of people that just wanted to show up and do it, because it's like it's definitely a refreshing break from like being in a kitchen.
Yeah.
Like going and doing like a pop-up like that. It's like, wow, why is my job not like this every day? It's like, it's just completely different.
Interesting. And when you added, when did you have the idea? I guess you've been associated with Manny, but like, were you doing herbal notes at the same time as these?
No, so that kind of had come to an end when my partner had moved to California. North Carolina.
Oh, okay.
And I was like getting ready to reboot myself into the system, and I met Manny, and I started kind of doing the dinners with him.
Yeah.
Then I started this meal prep service, which like led me to like kind of like acquiring like kind of I guess like a clientele list of
Sure.
like kind of higher end, more like people with money to spend like
Oh yeah.
on like locally grown, locally sourced like
Wow.
meal prep essentially, which then people started wanting. They'd see on my Instagram story like that I was doing one of the weed dinners, and then they would just like want a regular dinner in their house, for like 5 or 6 of their friends, and I just really started marketing that aspect of it, whether it was like paying for Instagram ads of like pictures of me in like plating dishes in like a like a kitchen inside someone's home, or just like, you know, finding ways to like really market that as like, I'll bring a Michelin star meal into your house and like clean up and get the heck out of there in 2 hours, you know, like but like the pop-up really like taught me how to like do that, like how to like really be super organized and like have everything ready at the door and at the venue and clean up and get the heck out of there.
And that's what people that are helping out learning as well.
Yeah, heck yeah. And it's, there's definitely a learning curve there, because like the first couple you're gonna do, it's gonna be like, all right, this took 4 hours, you know. It's like,
how do we increase it? How do we
how do we make this efficient and like a speedy system? Because like the last thing you want is like the word of mouth to be like, oh, well, it was like really nice, but
he
he was cleaning for like an hour and a half, you know what I'm saying? It was like, we were trying to go to bed and he was like still in our house, you know. So it's like, that's what you're trying to avoid completely.
How do you curate the menu, the 8 courses? How do you curate that? Is it
super seasonal?
Do you consult with them? Or seasonal, and then, or is it all on you, or do you?
Well, I mean, obviously nowadays it's like there's always going to be like a pescatarian and like a vegan, or you know, something like that at every table. So you always have to work around that. It's about like getting that information ASAP, you know, before the night of, obviously. But yeah, no, I mean, it's taken a lot from like, I have like a lot of cookbooks. I do like, even though I'm a horrible reader, I don't like, I mostly am like more of a visual guy. I guess like within those 5.5 years, like, not that I've like mastered cooking, you know what I'm saying? Or like that I know everything about cooking, but like you definitely learn a good amount of technique in 5.5 years of like, if you're really trying to work at like serious restaurants. And so I just like took those techniques into like visual learning. So I like, you know, I look at cookbooks mostly for the pictures, which may be like, you know, kind of childish.
You can't taste it through the books.
Yeah, right, exactly. But like, you know, like I guess that was always like my biggest doubt of being a chef for me, was like that I was like, I'm not an artist, you know, like I'm not like, never been like a really creative, like mind like that. Like I never really thrived in an art class or like painting, or like, I feel like a lot of chefs maybe have like not necessarily like a skill in that area, but like I think it definitely helps. Yeah, you know, like, so I guess I never was like that. So I always had like a doubt in myself about that. But you know, you learn that, you know, plating's not really actually that hard, and all that. But yeah, so like I look at books and stuff for like, you know, the visualness of it, and take inspiration from like that rather than like, you know, reading cookbooks. But you know, a lot of dishes that I've cooked in other restaurants, you know, I'll retwist them, or you know, yeah, it's, you know, it depends. Depends on the, you know, the time of year that it is, and who it's for, and you know, it's like I really try to tailor it definitely to the clientele of like the private dinner, you know. So
right.
I do try to ask certain questions, like I'll ask like what your favorite restaurant is in Chicago, or just something very simple, just like get like a weird realm
just
of
a
like,
baseline.
Yeah, just like a baseline of like, all right, so you know, Maple and Ash is your favorite steakhouse, you know, like rather than RPM or, you know, Gibson's, or, you know, so it's like it puts you into a different threshold.
Like, all right.
Yeah, gotcha, you know, you can kind of like base it off of that.
And then with the THC and CBD, like how it just adds a very, it can be complicated element to it. Yeah. Especially when you're dealing with people that aren't used to this substance, right?
Yeah, definitely. And I'm not really that big. Like everyone, whenever they hear about these things, I'll do special dinners that I'll sell tickets for that are THC or marijuana infused dinners, cannabis dinners. But a majority of my stuff is not always cannabis infused. But the ones that I do, I don't really try to put it into the food as much.
Yeah.
I will maybe like one course or something, but like very light. And it's more about actually smoking weed for me. I smoke a lot of weed, but I just feel like it's a much better pairing. You know, it's like if I told you the glass of wine that you were drinking you wouldn't feel it for an hour and a half. You'd be like, all right, well, I don't really know where I'm going to be in an hour. You know, like it's like I don't really want to drink this anymore.
Right.
So like that's my problem with like edibles.
Right.
Me
too.
It's like, okay, well, I eat it now, but you know what happens later. You know, type of situation. So. And it just creates a weird thing, especially if like people are drinking, or you know, and it's like you're coming down from a drunk, and then all of a sudden you get hit with this head high, and you're like, holy crap!
Well,
like,
what I love
the hell did I do tonight? Like
that article is that safe room.
Yeah, so that's a big thing.
I love that.
Yeah, I just recently started doing that just because it made, you know, you see how it can
and then
transpire.
making sure that it does, you have two windows open so it doesn't hot
box fans going. Yeah,
right.
you want like circular. It's the same. Yeah, it's like you go to a casino where everyone's smoking. They've got like the best ventilation system like on the market. So it's just like creating like a space where people are comfortable.
Yeah,
even if they don't necessarily smoke weed. It's like
right.
People are smoking weed next to you,
and
you don't want someone to feel uncomfortable if they brought like
the DJ.
The DJ is always very. Manny taught me that 100%.
Okay.
No doubt. I definitely came into it like doing my version of pop-ups which were maybe a little bit more like a little bit like what I really loved about Manny's is that Manny's he just would pop up and do it, and like he didn't worry about it being like some sort of like lavish thing, which like I definitely worried about in the beginning, just because like when you're charging people like $200 a person, like you're like, I really want this to feel like like
more of an experience.
Yeah, and like I learned from Manny, was like, man, dude, hire a DJ, and like just make it a great experience. Like, and it was so right. And at first I looked at it and I was like, well, that seems like a silly thing to spend money on, but it made so much sense.
And so even after the DJ, without numbers, like how is the profit margin then?
I mean, that's up to you. Like that's the skill of the chef. That's the skill of the guy behind the operation, is how you're able to keep your costs. You know what I'm saying? It's about what you're buying and
interesting
where you're sourcing it from, and whether you're taking the time to like source it properly, or if you're like in the last couple of days like running to Whole Foods and spending top dollar on everything. So it's that's where like the finesse of it kind of comes into place, and like making the most of it with the less of it.
and so with I mean, anything else you want to add to the pop-ups or the private dinners? Is this like the direction that you feel chefs or cooks should be going if they want to make a name for themselves?
I wouldn't necessarily say. I mean, obviously the traditional way. I've gone a very non-traditional way of like trying to make a name for myself, I guess, as a chef. I guess the traditional way is always going to work. You know what I'm saying? You got to fight your way to it. It's like you really got to claw your way through. But yeah, I would say I think all chefs should be learning how to like market themselves properly, and like a pop-up is like the perfect way to like learn how to run an establishment, even like so like when you are actually looking at those numbers of like, all right, well, this is cost this per pound, and you're actually like making menus based off of like how it's going to put money in your pocket, so it's like you're learning a completely different angle of what you're trained to do,
right?
And then really once you start doing that, you're like, well, what the hell was
why
I
am
learning
I doing over there
in a kitchen? When it's like they're not teaching me the importance. It's like the same thing how I always felt about school. It was like, all right, well, I still don't know how to do my fucking taxes. You know what I'm saying? Like I don't know how to do any of the shit that I have to do every day, but like I've never used, meteorology. You know what I'm saying? Like I've never used that once. Like, so it's like, I felt that way a little bit about kitchens, and I was like a little angry. I was like, well, no, all these chefs, like they never taught me how to do, menu pricing and all this stuff. And then these chefs will tell you, they're like, oh yeah, don't go to culinary school. That's for idiots. Like, learn it here. And it's like, but they're not willing to teach you any of that shit here. So it's like
interesting.
But you don't blame them, because it's like they've got a wife at home or something, a kid, and they're working 70 hours a week.
But you're coming from like, how did your dad play in all this? Like, how come?
My dad was good at that.
Yeah.
For sure. Like he was definitely a good person to come talk to, and like I was very lucky to have Wishbone, because like I've got like pricing lists here, that my dad has like from different purveyors and stuff like that. And he was always a great ear to bounce off of everything, but we have kind of different viewpoints on like some of that stuff, and so like he was definitely a great ear for all of that, but I definitely try to do it more on my own, just mostly. I don't know. I guess I just kind of turned that. I don't even think I was thinking anything. I think I just kind of took that learning curve kind of head on without thinking really.
Sure, you wanted to make a name for yourself.
Although it's not hard to like go out there and like get pricing lists from purveyors and like see what things cost per pound, and it's definitely something that I think cooks should like inquire more about with whatever they're doing in whatever restaurant they're in, is to just ask to look at those. Or
so do you feel like it'd be stepping out of bounds if line cooks would ask like why are we doing this, why are we doing that?
Yeah, that's definitely like probably against that culture a lot,
Wow.
So I'm not that like cooks don't do that, obviously. I was definitely a pestery cook, asking a lot of questions and stuff.
Right. But I mean, you want to know why you're doing certain things, and it's like, but they want you to shut up and just do it. because it's the way it's
They
always
want to
been?
show you once and never show you again. You know what I'm
That's
saying?
not
Like,
right.
yeah, like ideally, I guess that's like, how I always felt is like, just show me once, and like I'll get it. But yeah, it's I mean, it's weird, like you're kind of in charge of your own station when you're a cook, like you're in charge of your section, so it's like, and nothing's really up to your creative mind either. So it's like you're executing somebody else's mission statement, someone else's menu, and someone else's, establishment. But, and it's hard. And like, yeah, also I came from, a place where like, at Wishbone, like dishwashers still get 2-week paid vacations here, like I'd worked 2 years at a restaurant and there was no paid vacation. You know what I'm saying? There was no paid vacation or, stuff like that. So I'm like looking, I'm like, how's my dad lasting, 30 years running a restaurant, and he's giving dishwashers 2-week paid vacations and stuff.
What did
And we've got guys here that have worked here 30 years, 25 years in the kitchen, have been on the line 23, 22
and
years.
here's the question though, are they happy?
I would say, I mean, they've been able to provide a life for themselves. We pay a living wage, and we give paid time off, and I guess there's a lot of incentive in keeping people, you know, and it can also be a bad thing also, depending on how you, control your situation. But, but yeah, keeping, loyal guys, man, is the best, especially if you're running an operation like Wishbone. You got to have somebody here at like 4 or 5 in the morning. You want that guy to be happy.
Are they unionized?
No, absolutely not. No, yeah, definitely not unionized. No.
Interesting. Before your dad, I'm sure like before he opened Wishbone, was he in every role around the restaurant industry?
Yeah, my dad actually, he had a pretty unconventional way about it too. I mean, like my dad's very first like food thing was like he had a hot dog stand on a beach, in like North Carolina.
Okay.
So it's super weird. He was like, young. He was like probably like early 20, like, like running a little hot dog joint on the beach. You know what I'm saying? Like doing his own ordering, like, selling selling things. And so yeah, I think he kind of had that like experience a little early too, which was like, running your own little operation thing. But
did he have, roles like serving and hosting and bussing and dishwashing, like just to understand?
I don't think so. I don't think he did much front of house stuff. Honestly, I've done some front of house stuff. I don't think he did much front of house stuff. I know my dad like started at like a little soul food shack, where he was like literally exchanging labor for room and board. At like 17. So he was doing that, and I think he still keeps in touch with some of those people, which is really crazy. But yeah, so he started doing that where he was like literally just peeling shrimp, for like 8 hours, and then like having a bed and
But I guess we talked about this off camera, but like, why is it so hard for a chef to make it as a restaurateur?
I guess it's like maybe it's like a confidence thing or something like that. I guess it's hard when you just work in restaurants, and I don't know. It's
or is there so much more than meets the eye? Like so much.
There's definitely more than meets the eye. I mean, it's like you get turned off to a lot of this stuff. I don't think a lot of line cooks are line cooks and then end up being chefs. I don't think. I think they switch. I know a lot of guys that have switched that have been like, I was a line cook with you, 2-3 years ago, and now you're working at Yelp, or something. Like it's there's not a lot of people stick to it. I feel like a lot of people go into it thinking it's going to be some sort of like Netflix Chef's Table series type of thing, and it's completely not. And it's just like it's not that at all, and they get turned off quickly. And I feel bad for the people that like go to school for it and like never actually work in a restaurant, and then like get out of school and they're like, I hate this. Like, this is awful. This is not what I thought it was going to be.
One of my good buddies went to Kendall and probably lasted 6 months because he got sick of being told that he didn't chop carrots like to the centimeter.
And that's not even what it's about. Like,
right?
That's not even like what being like. I'll tell you that right now. Like that's not what being a chef's about. It's like, obviously knife skills and like technical things are super important, but like
big picture.
Yeah, big picture stuff. Like no, like you could have like the most technical guy in the world. His restaurant will fail. You know what I'm saying? Like if you don't have like good social skills, if you're not like a leader, like you got to be able to like exhibit different types of characters within yourself other than like being like this guy that, you know, can dice the perfect carrot or something like that. Like that's not what makes like the head guy in the kitchen, you know?
Okay.
There might be a line cook who can dice an onion better than a goddamn chef in that kitchen, but definitely can't lead the brigade as well as he can, you know?
And so what part of the world would do you feel drawn most to? Like French cuisine, Italian cuisine, American cuisine?
I'd say it was like French and Southeast Asian, I guess. So those are like the two that I like have the most like books on and like read about or like, you know, want to go to. Like I'd love to go to Vietnam or like, you know, Southeast Asia. Yeah. I even smoke like Vietnamese cigarettes too. So, like, it's
really?
Like, yeah, I really like them. Like I don't know.
Were they stronger or something?
They are a lot stronger. Yeah, they are. But yeah, I don't know. So Southeast Asia for sure. Like even the first pop-up dinner that me and my partner did, it was called Yang. It was like a Vietnamese, it was like a Southeast Asian kind of style pop-up dinner. Which was funny. It was like two like Midwestern white boys, like, you know, like cooking like soba rigatoni. Like weird ass like concoctions and stuff. Yeah. But but I really enjoyed that. I thought it was awesome because it was just, you know, it may have looked silly, but you know, for us, it was like completely new ground. You know, do
you hit up Argyle a lot?
We would hit up Argyle before every one of those dinners.
This is the fall weather, bro.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, it is 100%. Yeah, no. So I love Argyle. Argyle's amazing.
Tai Dang's doing really well. In Pilsen and in Time Out.
I love that restaurant too. Hai Su is amazing. I go to I won't try to say the cafe's name next door.
Oh, Cafe Da? Or?
Cafe Da, yeah. I think that is Cafe Da, yeah. The coffee slushy.
I haven't been there, yeah. I haven't been there, but I've been to
I love their sandwich. Yeah, they kill it. The banh mi sandwiches there, the pork one is so good. Yeah, I love Tai Dang. He's a great guy too. And this is his old place right here, actually. Mbeya. That was his first, which is now Belmore. So yeah. He's like a West Loop guy too.
Interesting.
He's earned his stripes in this neighborhood.
I've heard. Okay. Well, going into what made you want to get into prep then? Meal prepping. I love it. I don't know how much you charge.
Meal prep thing.
I wish I could.
We'll talk about it.
One of my friends does Hello. Is that High Fresh? HelloFresh?
Or HelloFresh or whatever.
That one. It seems awesome. I've had some of those meals. Like it's actually not bad. I'm sure.
No, I'm sure. I haven't checked them out. I know a lot of my guys are coming from like services like that a little bit, you know, but mine is it's interesting. I don't know how really I got it. It's so weird. I think I just like started meal prepping for a girl I liked, or something like that, and then you know that turned into like, you know, this spiral thing of like me meal prepping people. Like
word of mouth
traveled fast on the meal prep thing. Yeah, that kind of boomed off. And so you know, it's different. I run, you know, homie prices and stuff for people all the time. So yeah, we'll talk about that later. But
and so is this a weekly thing or like
every week? Yeah,
dude, you are hustling.
Yeah. So every week, every Wednesday, I drop off like 20 to 30 meals all around the city, or like 20, 30 like packages, like, you know.
And this is a week's worth.
Or 10 meals. So however the heck you want to do that. 10 meals, and there's a 5-meal option also. But
interesting.
Yeah, no, I spend all night on Tuesday night. I'm here till like 4 or 5 in the morning doing all that, and then Wednesday I just, you know, it's not that bad. It's like 2 or 3 days of like a lot of work. And then Wednesday I drop everything off, which is like the worst of the work, because like I'll drive to Wicker Park like 5 different times. You know, I'll drive downtown like 8 different times on just like Wednesday. So it's like from 9 to 9 o'clock at night, like 12 hours of just like.
We talked about scheduling earlier. I'm like, that is like, well, when can I drop it off? Like,
it's
right?
all it is. It's it's like, you know, I thought I'd be home by now, but you know, I'm actually gonna be home.
So
in
it turns
an
out
hour. Can you actually bring it to
part.
my office right now? And I'm like, oh my god, like I'm like double parked on Wacker Drive, like god dang it, you know, like so yeah, very much so. Like the most frustrating thing in my life, hands down, right now, is dropping off meal preps on Wednesdays. In fact, like everybody in my life knows to like not even call me on Wednesday or like talk to me on Wednesday, just because like I'm coordinating, because I haven't really figured out a system for it yet.
And are you a one man show right now?
I got a guy named Nathan. He helps me out. He's a good kid. And he helps me out with any private dinner that I've got going on, or whether it's like meal prep till 3 in the morning. But I got that one one
Go
solid
to.
unit
Good.
there. Yeah.
And at what point do you feel like you're going to be ready to scale?
I'm ready, man. I'm ready to scale hands down. Yeah, I'm talking to people all the time now too. I did it. Yeah, I got a couple dinners lined up in Los Angeles that I got to go to in early
Dude, what the
February.
fuck? Is this going to be your first time?
No, I did one. I was out there. I did a dinner with like this altered plates, which is like a THC kind of dinner thing that's out in LA, and I got to do it at like inside Patricia Arquette's home and stuff.
Who's that?
Like,
is that an actress?
Yeah, she's pretty cool. She's like in like True Romance and like all these like really classic like movies or whatever. But I'm like in her house, like, you know, like smoking weed, and I was like, you know, I think I'd like to do this in LA a little bit. So I'm definally moving to LA in the coming coming month or two.
Yeah, in the coming month.
Coming month or two. Yeah. So so a buddy of mine also is gonna be moving out there, and I'm gonna be going out there I think a little bit.
Dude.
Yeah. So yeah,
This is big.
I'm trying, do the whole private chef thing.
Yeah.
Out there.
And so,
Seems
but
to be a bigger
do you
market.
think it's gonna be a little different because do you think people you're popping here because you're Chicago? Like,
yeah,
right?
You know, it's hard for me. It's like a really big thing too. You know, and like I plan on coming back, like, you know, like trying to split my time 6 months and 6 months or something like that. But yeah, I was never been a big fan of Los Angeles or like anything like that. But I think it's just like going to be a smart move for like maybe a year or two. But like Chicago's my, you know, this is where I'm definitely stationed. Anything that I ever want to do is going to be.
I'm just like awareness. Like, are you popping right now, right here, because you know you're in Chicago? Like people know you, like word of mouth. Like, oh, he's in Chicago. And
I think Chicago and like going recreational right now has like been very great for my brand. Like 100%. Like that's been, you know. The Chicago Tribune definitely didn't want to talk to me before Recreate. You know what I'm saying? So
was that right after, or right before? That was like right
during,
when it was
like
during. Okay,
they did the interview and then they like released it like afterwards. So
interesting.
Yeah. So then but yeah, I don't know. LA is weird, but I'm definitely gonna just do that for maybe like a year. Try to like build up like doing a lot of like more celebrity type of
interesting,
stuff like that.
I feel like you're more of a San Diego dude.
I love San Diego. I really do love San Diego. Yeah, I know. I love San Diego.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay. As far as meal prepping goes, like I mean, I'm sure that it helps to your benefit to have
a full kitchen here.
Full kitchen, and like do you get discounted rates on sourcing and things like that?
Yeah, I mean, well, once again, I'm very lucky. I've got, you know, I'm able to go to Restaurant Depot, right, you know, for stuff like that. But I have a lot of like connections with farms. I get a lot of the proteins and stuff through farms.
This is like good
locally.
Stuff too.
Yeah, essentially. So I get those. I kind of have a system where I call it in and it's shipped here in like 3 days. But it's just like, you know, being on that and making sure it's here by the time the meal prep has to be cooked and everything. But
cool, man. Damn. I'm a fan.
Yeah, meal prep is fun, man. I do enjoy the meal prep. It's fun. People really like it too. So.
What else are you working on besides the pop-ups and the meal prep?
Other than that, you know, I've been really on a lot of social media stuff recently. I've been
you hang with I wasn't aware of Kush Poppy.
Kush Poppy. Yeah.
He's one of those like
he's just like an Instagram
comedian
type of. He just makes goofy content.
Does he have a day job?
No, not at all. Not at all. It would baffle you how much money some of these social media guys are making from their platforms. It's wild.
Tell me this: are they worried about Instagram ending?
I don't think so. You definitely don't get that vibe at all.
Like
there was like that little period there where they were like, we're getting rid of likes. I don't know if you remember that at all.
I do remember that.
And I don't know what happened to that. I know that I know like Australia doesn't have likes. I know like a lot of countries. There's like 7 or 8 countries.
Not only
that,
likes. But like, you know, the algorithm doesn't work in your favor, right?
Right.
So,
I've learned a lot about that. Yeah. So yeah, the algorithm changes too. Like with everybody that like, depending on who you hang out with, like there's like, you know, people with like millions of followers that like have a completely different algorithm in their heads than people that have like 20 to 50. Then you know.
Yeah.
So that whole algorithm thing is like, it's like this weird word that people use or something like that, but it does make sense. And there are like certain things that you do learn, you know, like you never use more than 6 hashtags and stuff like that. And, you know, like these weird little rules that like you don't get flagged as spam if you do this. And like,
And so here we are trying to escape working for the man.
Yeah,
And
and
we're
we're like
fucking-
tiptoeing around these like social media things. Yeah, no, but it's, yeah. So that's been a weird thing, and that's like, yeah, Kush and all those guys. They've given me a good platform to like.
How did that first meet? Were you just homies before, like way back in the day, or?
No, I got hired to do food for like all of the artists and like rappers and stuff for Lyrical Lemonade, which is like Lyrical Lemonade. If you don't know them, definitely look them up. They're like just like the coolest, definitely one of like the coolest organization running in Chicago right now. They're like it's like a group of young 20-year-olds that are like putting out like the most top notch.
I feel like it's the underground so far.
No,
it's not. It's okay.
No, they do like music videos for like like Future and Wiz Khalifa and like they do like Cardi B music videos and like but they also sell a lemonade, which is amazing since like they call Lyrical Lemonade. They also have like a lemonade and they their merch is amazing.
Yeah.
And stuff like that. So they're like a clothing company, like a beverage company, like a music video production company.
Okay.
Yeah, they operate out of Chicago, and they're awesome for Chicago.
Interesting. Okay.
So yeah, I was hired to do they have a music festival every year in Douglas Park.
Dope.
It's like 2 days. It's like 60,000 people or whatever, but and like really big name
I'm surprised
artists.
I haven't heard of it.
Yeah,
That's
it's called
like
Summer
right
Smash.
in my hood. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, I got to do that, and so I was like surrounded by all these like really big celebrities, and I was selling THC infused lemonade, and Kush's like whole thing is like juice. He's like a juice, he's always flipping juice and like doing stuff like that. Okay. And he's also like smokes weed because his name's like Kush. So he was like, oh, he's like, I need one of these. It's like, so we got to be kind of friends.
That's cool.
Through that. Yeah.
Okay. Any last remarks for someone who's climbing the ladder in a kitchen? Aspiring chef.
Other than to really value your time and like what you do, and like don't just look at yourself as like a cog in the machine, and to like really understand that you're a very vital piece in that element, and that and just to really value your time, because when you really look at the amount of hours that you spend working at that restaurant, you could be doing a lot to like market and brand yourself, and save up money, even buy plates, and do whatever you can just to get your name out there. You got to do something other than like fuck over the line cook next to you to like look better than the line cook next to you. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So just to like help in that culture a little bit of like, and that's a good thing. I think more like kitchens, if like one line cook in that kitchen was doing a pop-up and like asked some of the other kitchen members to like help out. Yeah. Man, that's awesome. Like that's like if I was running a kitchen and like my cooks like had a pop-up that they were doing like outside of work, I'm like, this is amazing. This is like exactly what I'm striving,
right.
These kids are,
right.
doing, so I think, and a lot of guys that are in charge of their kitchens to maybe push that a little bit more, or, to push these kids to, maybe learn a different element of the business other than show up.
That's one reason.
Cook,
another thing
clean,
I wanted Jason to come
out.
on. He's very passionate about he knows someone that was struggling with mental health and like
everybody you meet in the industry.
like violent in the kitchen.
Yeah.
And so that's another episode.
Yeah, no, and that's 100%. Yeah, and I worked for a chef who ended up being a very violent guy, and it came out very publicly that he was a violent guy, and it hurt my resume a lot, which I thought was like really a crappy thing, but. It's like I go around, this guy's on my resume, I spent, time working for him. So it's like a lot of these guys too, it's like, don't, it's hard to take a job and like you end up, the guy's an asshole and like no one wants to hire you because you work for an asshole. And it's like, well, I didn't.
It's not your fault.
It's not your fault. Yeah, but that happens to a lot of people, It's
interesting.
It's like interpersonal politics in the kitchen world. So
then you end up just making a name for yourself. Yeah, you just got to go out on your own.
Trying, but we'll get there. We will get there.
All right. Cheers, bro. Thank you guys for tuning in. I'll see you guys in the next episode. Stay curious. Aloha.